Welcome to Papa Junk Shop. Well, I had an awful lot of comments on the water wheel and the windmills and all that stuff, so thought I'd make a little video, maybe answer some of the questions, and gotten lots of comments, which I really appreciate, most of which are positive, and lots of suggestions. I've been doing this for a long time, so I pretty much figured out what works best for me. A lot of your suggestions I've already tried. Let's go in the building here. There's enough of a breeze out that it's kind of chilly. I don't know how the sound's going to be because it's kind of echoey in here. But over the years I've tried lots of things. I've had several generators on this platform. I've had sometimes two at a time. I got another one here. In this bracket I've had lots of things mounted on. I've tried gearing it up. You can see holes where I've had things mounted. I've sped it up, and with all the extra friction and stuff, I didn't gain a thing. And I used chains. I thought they would be not waste as much power, but they required a lot of attention. They didn't last long. Sprockets wouldn't last long, and they're real expensive. When I made this, I had in mind that it was going to run 24/7, 365 for a long time, and it has. There's very little maintenance, especially since I got the wooden bearings. And I found some pictures that I took when we built it, so I'm going to try to put them at the end of the video. And at that time it had the metal buckets in it that I eventually replaced with the plastic ones with a stainless steel edge. And that one had the smaller shaft, and the shaft actually broke. That was one of the reasons why I redid it. I think that one had like 1.25 inch shaft. I think this one is like 2.5 or 2 3/4 maybe, but it hasn't bothered any. That was one of the original pillow blocks sitting up here. It's loose and rattly, but they would last about 6 months if I greased them every couple of weeks. The wooden bearings have lasted, I get about 5 years out of them. And this generator I had using as a windmill for a while, and I'll show you the blade for that. I carved my own blade for it. And I've also tried transformers to up the voltage, to send it the distance up to the house and then drop it back down again. And there again, I didn't gain anything. I tried buck boost circuits. I tried pulse width modulated, whatever they are, things, and I gained nothing. But usually what happens is that what little bit I lose, the water wheel automatically will speed up to make up the difference. Or I shouldn't say speed up, but you know, if the voltage has got to go up, the wheel will go just a little faster. Let me disconnect it once, and you can see how fast it'll go without a load. I mean, that's a big difference. This meter goes to 75 and it's pegged. I know you can light a regular 100-watt light bulb with it, no problem. And of course, when the wheel's doing that, you're not getting all the power out of the the water either, because a lot of it's not going in the bucket. So I'm going to turn it back on. And when I constructed this, when I poured the concrete, of course I didn't know a lot about concrete stuff, and when I built the form, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but it's one sheet of plywood goes from where the bricks start down here to right here. And then I needed a little more, so I put a small piece down here. And as you can see, I didn't have it supported right, and it actually went in towards the pond. Actually, it didn't hurt anything. It was fine. But if I would have put that small piece at the top, where there wasn't all that pressure from the concrete, it probably wouldn't have done that. So there's lots of things to be learned. And I started out with a wooden water wheel with wooden paddles, and went through all the same stuff that a lot of you guys are. When I first moved here, this pond was not quite this big. I think I made it just a little bigger, and they just had a sluice pipe for an overflow. And if this wasn't so close to my property line in the road, and I had some drop, I would have a turbine. As a matter of fact, I have a couple that I played with, and they won't work here. Now, I also had some comments about the spring house. And there's two submersible pumps in here, one for the neighbor and one for myself and my boy, who lives next door. I don't know if we're going to be able to see in here, but I brought a flashlight. I'll go inside. Yeah, you can sort of see. That's my submersible pump. It just kind of lays in there at a 45-degree angle. And the neighbor's pump is over there. And the neighbor's pump just came on. The spring was here. It didn't have the concrete blocks. You can see where the angle iron is. I put the angle iron in and added the blocks on up. They had a wooden thing on here that was deteriorating, so I replaced it. But whoever built this is pretty ingenious. There's a footer just like you were going to build a building, and they laid a layer of concrete blocks on the back side. Hope you can see them down there. They're laid on their side, and they go all the way around the back wall and partially around the two side walls, and that lets the water come in. And then they went the rest of the way up with regular blocks to act as a tank. And there's an overflow, and I don't know, you're not going to be able to see it, but there's also a pipe that's right down at the bottom, even with the bottom of the blocks. And what that does is that when the water's high, it self-cleans the bottom of the spring. I've never cleaned this out. I've been here since 1977. It's cold out here. My nose is starting to run. Anyways, what it does is it comes up to this pipe out here, which is about the same height. Well, you can see the water level in the spring house. And when that water level gets any higher, it comes out of there, and it'll take any settlings or anything with it. So I don't know where they got the idea from, but it sure works good. So I'll take you up and I'll show you some of my windmill adventures, I guess you'd say. Okay, over the years, I've had quite a few windmills. Right in front of where Aaron's observatory is, I did have an 80-foot 25G Roan tower, guide tower with a self-leveling guys and all that good stuff on it. And I had it was around a 1500 watt. Seems like it was a Bergy or something, I don't know. But I don't know, it weighed like almost 200 pounds. And I had it up there for probably 4 or 5 years, and it did a lot of turning, but it didn't make much electric, so somebody else was interested in that. And the money that I got out of that, I kept the tower, just the windmill went. I bought one of the supposedly wonderful permanent magnet ones that they take I think it's a 4-alternator and rewind it, and all that stuff's supposed to make 500 watts, and well, it was 24-volt system too. And I don't know if you could get 500 watts out of that if it was in a hurricane. That was really disappointing too. And I have a propeller that was on that right here, and it got hit by lightning while it was running, and it ruined the electronics that went with it, and it ruined my 24-volt sine wave inverter, and it blew the end off, both ends off the propeller. So I took the electronic stuff out of it. That's when I made my switch to 12 volts again, because I had some 12-volt stuff. And I carved out my own propeller, the 3-bladed one. And it's on part of a pulley. And I went up to the lumber yard and asked them if I could look through all their piles of lumber and find something without knots in it. And I found formulas for figuring out the pattern, and I made that. And that was up there for quite a while. And the generator that's in the Waterwheel building, that's a propeller I made for it. I think it's 8 foot. It was a 2x6, and I did the same with that, carved it out, and it had a brake drum on it off a Volkswagen, I think, and I had a brake on it, and when the wind got really wicked, I had a big weight that I hung on it, and I put the brake on. And if we had some really serious winds, I mean like 60, 80 mile an hour gusts, you know how you get that every once in a while? Even with that brake on, the sucker would still turn some. I thought it was going to burn the brake up, but it never did. And that was the generator down there. Now, what else did I have? Oh, all this stuff I pretty much did when it was magazines and stuff that you got all your information from. Home Power, Mother Earth News, and all that kind of stuff. Backwoods, something or other, I don't even remember the name of it. But I seen an ad in there where a guy in Kansas was selling a bunch of wind chargers. So I went to Kansas and bought a 850 watt wind charger. That's the one with the gearbox on it. And I had that on that tower. Where is it? There it is. that has my little homemade one on it now. And that always worked pretty decent, but you had to go up there and change the oil in it and lubricate the governor assembly and all that stuff. So somebody talked me out of that one too. And then I built the one that's up there now. And that one I think has got bad bearings in it because it only turns when the wind's really blowing hard. And I'm not going to go up and replace them. It's going to be a weather vane because it doesn't produce that much anyways. And as you can see, the trees are getting quite large around it. They didn't used to be there. How many years ago? So it holds the star for Christmas, and it's a weather vane. So I think that's, I do have, say I made all this stuff myself. I didn't buy a lot of stuff because, well, we didn't have a lot of money to work with. And up here I have one of my governors that I made for that probably, no, I don't think that was on that blade out there. I think this was for a smaller one. I think the one that fits that blade is down in the other building. It was considerably bigger than that. I also had questions on, let's see, what else was there? Oh, somebody wanted to know what kind of saw I cut the 1/4-inch plate out with on for the water wheel. It was a Porter cable, which has been worn out, and now I have a DeWalt that I think would probably do just as well. And let's see, I had questions about batteries. I use the Edison batteries. They were 40 years old when I got them 30 years ago, and they still work great. Would I switch to lithium ion? Probably, if I got one for nothing. But like I say, it's a hobby for me. I'm not doing it to try to save money or, you know, don't need it so we have power. It's just something I like to do. And let's see, what else was there? I don't know, there's a lot of questions and a lot of comments, and I enjoy reading them, but I'm not going to be able to answer them all. I'm not good at typing, and as some of you know, I'm not good at spelling, punctuation, all that stuff. But I am good at talking. So I thought I'd just answer the questions this way. So give me a couple minutes to think about things and see if I can think of anything else that I wanted to address, and I'll be right back. I remember one comment that said water wheel needs cleaning. Well, it gets cleaned once in a while, but you could clean it once a week and it would still build up that deposits. It really doesn't seem to make any difference in the performance unless it gets really bad. And I had another couple comments about my solar tracker. It was mentioned that you have one that has a like a paddle in the middle and a sensor on each side of it, and when the sun shines on it, it turns it. I looked into that before I did this, and it has problems where when you get no sun and the sun shades the other side, in other words, it gets lost, and you might lose a half a day of sun. And there was another one that said do it with an Adreno. Well, I'm not into the complicated computerized stuff. You can tell that by my videos. I'm not a computer technical person, I guess. I like electronic stuff and mechanical stuff, electrical stuff, but not so much into the you gotta program it stuff. So I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to. Go back in the garage for a minute and I'll end. Now I've been trying to get a hold of one of these for a while. A free one, that is. I believe this is the one that has the permanent magnet motor in the bottom. And I would like to try to make a generator for the water wheel and see if I can improve things. So I don't know for sure if this is the right thing, but we're going to tip her over and find out. Thank goodness, my brother-in-law, I had him looking for me, and he was able to find this. He called me and says, I think I found you one. Brought it over to me. So, pretty sure that's it. I may have to look at some videos to see how to get the thing apart. Or else just figure it out myself. That's more fun. Chatting up here. Going around and around, something's coming apart. Better do some research, huh? Felt like it was pulling that off of it. Yeah, I guess it's still coming. The bearing was going bad in this. Yep, there she is. That's what I was hoping for. Yeah, it looks like some seal or something was bad. Now even the spline is plastic. I don't know how much of that you guys can see, but them are magnets. So, we got the right thing. So I just got to figure out how to get her apart. I think before I tear into it too much, I'm going to do some research for a change. I think I'm going to stick this back on to protect that stuff while I'm taking it apart. Okay, I got that motor off that washer. I think it's going to be fine. That's gonna go down on the water wheel, I think. I'm not sure if it's going to be any better, but we're going to give it a try. I'm not sure. I'm going to start out with trying it just as it is and see what kind of performance we get, and then I'll try maybe changing it into sections so we can parallel some of it, maybe get more current. It all depends on how it acts down there, I guess, what I'm going to do. But we're going to give it a shot. So look forward to that one if any of you guys are interested. Okay guys, I hope I didn't bore you too much with that, but I thought maybe a lot of you might like to hear answers to some of your comments, or my comments on your comments, whatever. And I appreciate the comments, and I do read them all. I don't answer them all. I already told you why. And I enjoy doing this, have for years. Probably will until I'm gone, and hope I didn't discourage anybody. I hope I encourage people to do the same thing I'm doing. It's interesting and it's fun, and thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. I know it's just a talkie, not too exciting, and please subscribe if you haven't, and if you have, thank you. See you next time.